Hello students, Miss Stahlbaum here. So today we are going to start our science lesson about wavelengths and frequency and how amplitude it kind of comes into play with both of these. So I just want to ask you, when you when you listen to music or walking outside or talking to your friends or watching a movie or a TV show, what do you hear when you are listening to those types of things? You most likely are hearing sound, correct? And so, most likely, you're going to hear sound, obviously. And they are, you're right. You totally hear sound. But, what does sound look like? We know, we might know what it sounds like, but what does sound look like? So, you can't really see sounds, can you? But we can use instruments and types of other materials to see sound so that we can see it vibrating. So what do you think? Again, I'm going to ask you, what does sound look like to you? So sound actually looks like waves. So have you guys ever seen a video of waves crashing on a beach or on the ocean? They kind of they're kind of like a little squiggly pattern that just go up and down like a little wave. And so if I had a board, I would draw a type of wave on the board, but obviously I don't have a board. So next, let's talk about frequency. So when you hear sounds, what do you hear? What are the sounds you hear when you're walking outside or listening to the radio or talking to your friends? What are those sounds that you hear? Are they beeping noises? Are they words? Are they is it songs? So you're hearing those sounds, right? And so, how do you hear those sounds? How do you hear those sounds? What way do you hear those sounds? And you're right, they do come through our ears. That's correct. We hear sound through our ears, and that's how our brain processes what we're hearing. But do all sounds sound the same? How do we know we're hearing sound and how they're different from each other? So how we hear sound is because there's different frequencies on a wavelength that allow us to hear certain ranges of sound and certain frequencies and certain pitches of sound. So today we are going to learn how wavelengths and frequencies and how amplitude can help obviously work interrelated together to kind of work together to make sound. And so today, I want you guys to pull out your laptops or your tablets, and we are going to do a simulation lab. So I got this simulation lab from FET, which I have used in high school before. And here it shows different types of strings that you can use to show the type of wavelength. So we have a fixed end, and we have a loose end, and we have no end. And so the most realistic you will probably see type of sound is a fixed end or a loose end. You can't really see the no end continuing on the wavelength. And so here we would, obviously I would have them move this first to see what happens when they do that. So when they do that, it creates a wave. And so then I would then I would then explain that they are creating waves and that the height of a wave is the amplitude. And so if we do little movement, the amplitude is short. And if we do big waves, that the amplitude, the height of the wave, is bigger. And so then we're going to come to a loose end here. And we are going to see how it is kind of on a ring here. We will have them kind of continue to do that. And here we are going to go to, we're going to go to pulse because this allows us to change the amplitude, which then allows us to kind of change, what's the word I want to use? kind of change like the power that goes into it. So then that shows the different frequency of the wavelength. And so if we have the amplitude at 0.7 cm, it is going to kind of create like a medium-sized wave. And then if we move the amplitude down to 1.11, it's going to make bigger sound waves. And if we move it down all the way to 0.12, it's going to create really tiny waves. And so through this, you can change the pulse width, which kind of goes along with the power with it. And so if we go low, it's obviously not going to put much with it. But the pulse width is just going to show how much like the pulse is going to like move through the wavelength. And so, yeah, that's how I would like, and then after I was done, I would have them kind of play with this and kind of just see how like different amplitudes and frequencies affect like the shape of the wavelength and how it would just look different in different scenarios. And so after that, I would give them a worksheet to show to kind of do an assessment. And so this worksheet I got from Teachers Pay Teachers. It kind of just goes through the frequency and amplitude of a sound wave. So the first box, it says the amplitude is a measure of how tall the wave is. So the larger the amplitude, the louder the sound. So the first question is, which wave has the higher amplitude? And it either wants you to put A or B, because it gives you these examples right here for A or B, and then it asks you which wave is from the loudest sound. So then these pictures and the descriptions give really good helps and hints to have the children kind of work through what they learned in class that day and just, you know, use their knowledge and just build that knowledge on like how wavelength and frequency and amplitude are kind of intercorrelated and how they all kind of affect each other. So yeah, and then as a closure, we could do like kind of like a review game of Jeopardy or like a matching game to like match the definition with the word or the vocab word. And then as a backup, I thought it would be kind of fun to kind of create your own wavelengths in like real life with strings that could be tied to like a fixed end or rung on a loose end. And then, so yeah.